All right, we got Q&A time on the CU podcast. This is from at David Mastrine. What do you think about the rise in new NES games like Micro Mages, which we talked about on the podcast, and the game Project Blue that just got funded for over $40,000? Ian, what do you think about the homebrew scene right now with the NES games?
Honestly, another game that I've liked that I've seen on the homebrew scene that I'll mention is, I believe it's called Bat Puncher.
Bat Puncher?
Bat Puncher.
Bat Puncher.
Maybe Super Bat Puncher. Look it up, but it's for NES. I played a demo of it.
Okay.
And it was really fun. I think we're finally getting to the point with NES homebrews where we're starting to see stuff that in some ways looks to be like the level of what retail releases we're getting.
We're inching towards games that came out in the 80s.
And it's very exciting.
Oh, Bat Puncher looks great.
Bat Puncher was fun.
You have a giant boxing glove.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
like rocking cats.
Yeah.
That's actually what it is.
My good friend Lincoln brought a demo over the one day on Flashcart and we played it. And I was like, this is fucking good. I like it. But we're finally getting to the point where they're starting to look like retail releases. And I think a lot of them are actually, a good time. I like smaller, simpler homebrew. For instance, on like things like Game Boy. I love playing Game Boy homebrew games. Just the games that are obviously just testing out a theory or an idea or whatever, and they're not really fleshed out. But on a Game Boy, it makes sense. Portable, small, bite-sized gaming. For a long time on NES, a lot of the games that were coming out as homebrews seemed fairly simple. And they didn't necessarily hold my attention for long.
Sure.
Some of them could be done very well, but all the games looked like things that, they were... It seemed like it was, I want to put out a game on the NES. What can I feasibly do? Now it seems like people are using their imagination more, developing things a bit better.
We're about, when did Battle Kid come out? 2009? We're about 10 years into...
And Battle Kid was a hallmark moment for the homebrew as well. That was a pretty big jump up from what we had been seeing.
Civac doing that was gigantic. And this is what's happened the past 10 years. So when Civac's doing it, it's one-man band. You got to know binary. You got to do all the art yourself and all the music. And that's how it's continued for the most part until probably the last few years. Someone like Joe Granado coming out with the NES maker and his team, that opened this up to a lot more people. That opened up people making their own tools more and collaborating. And now when you see homebrew development, Haunted 85 and 86, when you see them being a step above and say an auteur project, is because you now have teams doing this. You have maybe three people working on it. Maybe one person does the programming, one person does the graphics, one person does the sound. It more traditionally resembles what game programming used to be.
Right.
To your point. So we're inching closer. Now, some of the games back in the day, the high-end ones like Mega Man, you had dozens of people working on them.
Sure.
At Capcom. So we're not going to be at that point maybe anytime soon, but we're getting somewhat closer to there. Because, again, these tools that come out and NES makers opened it up to a lot more people. Because you can be a good programmer, but that doesn't mean you know good level design or know how to program good music or know how to do good sprite work. You had to do everything yourself 10 years ago, 5, 6 years ago. Now you can bring other people in.
Right.
So if I was doing a game, I wouldn't do the music. I'd hire someone to do the music. I might do the general design, but I'm gonna have someone else do the artwork. That's more traditionally what game development is. And I think the one thing to be careful of is that just because you see there's an interest in all this stuff, you have to look at what the there's always going to be a ceiling for say the NES style or wanting it on an NES cartridge. We still don't have many games break out above 300-400 games on the cartridge. I'd say probably 90% of these homebrews don't get above a few hundred people that actually get the physical game. So there is still an interest, but it's still people our age. The people that are around for the NES stuff.
Well, it'd be interesting to see though how many people, how much does the ROM sell? I mean,
Oh, sure, and probably the Haunted games are your best sort of ways to look at that Haunted at 85, 86 because those do well from what I know on the Xbox store, and then they get on Switch finally and Steam, so those get around.
Sure.
But the ratio of the people playing the digital versus the cartridge, obviously most people are going to have the digital version of that. And so that's what I'm going to say. If it's cool to put something on, I'm not going to say it's not cool putting something on an original NES cart. I still want to do it. I have a couple ideas in my head for that. And it might still happen at some point. But I still know that for it to be a viable a viable idea in terms of actually, recouping costs and making money, it's got to be also something digital. It just has to be. So we look at like this Project Blue, which does look good. It kind of resembles BattleKit in a way. They're single screens at a time. You're jumping around. You look kind of look like BattleKit a little bit. It's a little more. It's more involved in BattleKit. Obviously, cute little green slimes. There's a lot more mechanics in BattleKit. But when you look at how many people actually got the cartridge, the digital game is 253, and then the cartridge you have, let's see, 190 plus that's 360. 360. You have less. Oh, you got a special edition. All right, you have about 500 people that got the physical cart.
That's actually pretty good.
But that's about what your ceiling is for these games, for the most part, on a physical card. That's pretty much what they've been here. So check out Project Blue. It ended the Kickstarter a few days ago. We missed out on it, but it's good to see. And I see these more and more conventions, and a lot of them look great. Not saying they don't. It's just that for the aesthetic and the style, there is sort of a ceiling of the audience for how many people are into them.